Okay, so the Gabriela Rico Jiménez, maybe 1 hour ago, I got to see this video.
In 2009, she was...
Then I went to eat. Let me give you the video first. It's on a Facebook. Whoever posted this stuff, he wanted to have my response, which I usually do not give this. Don't do that kind of stuff, people. What I give you is, if you're involved in it, I give you a dot. But this time I decided, actually it's the first time I actually decided I'm going to go and do the video and place it on the internet. With placing it on the internet, I should say. See, no comments yet. So let's see this video first. Yeah, she was involved in it, but there was many others who were involved in it on her behalf.
They were eating humans. Those are the words of Gabriela Rico Jiménez. In 2009, she was 21 years old after attending what she described as a high society party in Monterrey, Mexico.
This is Monterrey, Mexico. It's just a really beautiful place. Monterrey, Mexico. It's where crime is rampant, but not in the area that is protected by the police. And what is protected the most is the area which the tourists visit. Abandon of the crime. Abandon of the crime. So, the Monterrey should be what exactly am I missing on here? It's not on the Yucatan Peninsula. Huh. Give me a break this. Oh, Nuevo León. That's mountains. I made a mistake about that one. Monterrey. Nuevo León, Mexico. Okay. That's a little bit different. That is a little bit different. Let me show you the border. That's not too far from the border. Monterrey, bordering Nuevo León, bordering Texas. Maybe 100 kilometers inland. Should I say that I was here? I was in every Mexican city. I was in every Mexican city. I was everywhere. In every South American city. Definitely in every city in the world. In every Chinese, in every Indian city, in every... This was huge. This thing was huge. This was not a small thing. This was huge, and it lasted half a century. That is no less than 50 years, for which I estimate 11 years was 24/7, nothing other than MK Ultra. But I said 24/7. There was barely any sleep. Sometimes no sleep at all. That went on. So, now I'm going to give you my in and out about this thing here. That somebody is located in London who had this video posed right here. And they are located in the US. And they are also located in Mexico. It concerned the Mexican president, ministers, top Mexican elite. it did concern British in a big way because of me, because of her involvement into my case, and through her involvement in my case, it now heavily implicates British oils directly, Prince Charles specifically. It now implicates all of you, and Bill Clinton and George Bush, every fucking one of you, because of what I'm about to say. Every little thing like this implicates you then directly into this stuff. So let me demonstrate you video first. Let's see video one more time. For me, before I go on with it about eating humans, this is a very convenient video because it confirms the stuff that I talked to you about. Cannibalism. You know, when I wrote to you about driving one absolutely fucking insane, well, the lady is demonstrating what can be done to the human. I'm not saying that she's insane. Absolutely not. I have respect for her to the certain degree. Just to the certain degree. It's a long video. It's going to be a 1 hour long video, but those that will watch these videos, those that watch my videos, they do actually become immune to what is known as MK Ultra. I have videos here where I have everybody you see here involved. I'm going to show you, if I'm lucky enough to get one of those her videos I want. The girls involved, the Chinese girls involved. Here, in this picture, they claim that I'm not interested in a Chinese lady. You're a white boy. Until that one in a suit that you see right there on the right side appeared in the picture. I was and I was not interested and so on. And I was really motivated, and that one right there and the completely dressed up in a black got my attention. So every video has got its hooks. Like this girl is doing, it feels like if the people would be calling me with these videos. In every video there is something. This girl was involved in it. No, she was involved in it since she was a child. You know? Alone with me at home, with parents at work. Of course, there must have been also somebody else, but it sure felt that I was alone watching her doing her gymnastic and stuff.
Fight me in Chinese.
Involved.
Where is this all ecology?
Oh, this man was involved.
Where is this
guy
all
was involved.
ecology? Where is it?
This is a replica of incident I witnessed to.
Drinking water is bad for you if it doesn't have salt in it.
This man is involved.
Guys, you know there's only 12 exercises you need.
This guy is involved.
Драги приятели, sweet.
This man involved. I like this girl though. I like this video. I love this thing. I love this.
Fuck is this shit?
This shit was.
Here's a street smart rule that.
What the fuck is this?
This bragging. I'm talking about the bragging. He did some stupid shit. This blah 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 screaming. This stuff was involved in it.
Here's a street. Here is a
Quinton
street smart
Rampage
rule
was
that nobody
involved,
is
yes,
taught,
and his
and
son
it
and
isn't
so
even
on.
acknowledged. Yet, I'm going to teach you anyway. Never ever let a stranger
he was
define the
involved
pace
in
of
it.
an interaction. Ever.
He
Not
was
in
very
speed,
involved
not
in
in urgency, not in emotion, not in pressure.
But I'm not here to do this right now, and I'm not going to say who was involved. I want to get to something involved. Involved
survivor.
Involved also.
Russia didn't build Donbass, they stole it from Europe and US. You probably heard.
I just want to get involved, yeah, and he had me on a training with him too, sometimes. You know, this Gypsy King, Tyson, is not a bad person, really. He's not a bad person. He did some bad stuff at the beginning, and most of his career he did some nasty stuff, but yeah, then he started to rehabilitate himself. I guess he got enough money.
These are the top 5 European.
This guy was involved in it. This guy here. This guy.
The most dangerous food for your liver
yes,
is not.
I spoke about that stuff.
Don't fuck with me.
Yes.
It's a parasite that can control.
Well, wait a minute. This guy was involved in it.
Top 5 Europe.
This guy was ultra violent guy. This is one of the most violent people, anyways. It's difficult for me to say because his views match my views, and that makes things even more difficult.
There's a parasite that.
The most dangerous food.
This was a very nice guy.
The most dangerous food for your liver is not sugar, it's not saturated fat,
but
and it's
I'm
not
pissed off
processed
because
meat.
he did not
The most
come
dangerous
out about this stuff. Involved.
What happened to the slogan?
Yeah, I like the girls that are strong like that. I like that. I like the girls that are do some crazy stuff. That I don't know. I haven't seen that. I don't have no time for that.
Всем доброе утро.
Involved.
Hello, go.
I'm not sure about this one. Yeah, right. I have to see that one yet. Okay, now I only get to see this. Damn it, I don't get to see the most important stuff.
Had taken over.
Oh, wait a minute. Maybe I'm on a wrong. Maybe I'm on a completely wrong. Am I on a wrong page here? Wait a minute. No. Yeah. You need to stop this shit. Actually, you cannot stop this stuff. Damn it, I cannot even stop this thing.
Oh! He just bit me. It just bit.
You know, I cannot stop. There you go. There you go. She was involved too. A friend, her friend also. Vion, something like that. Also, American native. She was involved. She was involved when she was. She invited me when she was a child, and another one also invited me when she was a child. I would end up 100% behind the bars when I was taken, and to Guyana, French Guyana, and Brazil, and so on. This is the way it was during MK Ultra.
These foods.
Привет. Меня зовут.
Okay, so I'm gonna stick here with this girl. Okay, I'm gonna stop here with it. It was a time when I totally resisted to MK Ultra. When I started to heavily resist to MK Ultra. And do you know how they seduced me back into MK Ultra world? I don't know when the hell this stuff was. Maybe in 2003. And that must not be this girl. I don't think it was this girl. But it was a girl like this. It was girls like this. Indian, South American girls like that. Do you know what happened with me? The girls that you see like this, they seduced me. They used the girls to convince me that if I stop MK Ultra, I'm never going to see them again, and all kinds of stuff like this. I would not want to cooperate and would not want to cooperate. I don't know, 2002, 2003, they did the really bad stuff to me, and I didn't want to have nothing to do with it. I demanded to be out, not want to have nothing no more with MK Ultra or whatever. And do you know what happened? They use girls just like this to convince me to stay in MK Ultra, to calm me down, in a parenthesis. And then do you know what happened? This is what's gonna blow lid of your roofs right now. The girl would go and in front of me collect the money. They would pay her money for convincing me to stick around. Basically convincing me to that MK Ultra is not so bad and so on. This is how it all ended. Yeah, I mean just like this. During MK Ultra, it's the most severe trauma they do. They send you on assignments, they do all kinds of stuff, and they traumatize you. Basically, everything is a traumatization. It's an espionage under pretense on a subject being traumatized. Subject being traumatized is real, because even the gangsters and all kinds of dictators and stuff that was involved, they got paid for causing me psychological harm, but maybe even harming to a certain degree, but only a certain degree. They had to have the evidence, and in return, SIA, tutor them, teach them, would receive a certain compensation, whether they want to buy some weaponry or was it for the drugs or whatever the case might have been that they got assisted. This is the way it functioned. Violence is addictive. Violence is a mental illness, and mental illness is addictive. You could be in South America like this, in a forest with natives, and British royals would have more influence over your life than they would have absolutely anywhere in the world. It's so easy to take possession of these little people. I don't blame them for this, because they are from a different world. They literally depend on outside world making sure that nothing bad happens to them. This is the way it is in their world. So I don't blame them. I cannot blame them. And so this is the way it is. This is going to play an important role as I continue with this video about this girl whose name is Gabriela Rico Jiménez. And it's very important. It pertains to my case. Russian cannibalism that left 30 people dead. Do you know what happened with the girl that was jumping over there and doing crazy stuff? They convinced me that I was eating human meat during MK Ultra. And that shit did not happen once. They were convincing me that I was eating human meat on quite a few occasions. They would also involve famous cannibals in my case, like Japanese cannibals and all kinds of cannibals. MK Ultra is a trauma. Issei Sagawa, this guy here, This guy was involved in MK Ultra. Russian cannibals were involved in MK Ultra. It is for me hard to decide whether these people really consumed people, or was it that they were actors, or were they so fucking crazy that they were not discern or maybe they teach them to do stuff. I have no fucking idea. This guy I was talking to you about, this famous from Manhattan psychiatric from a famous Daniel Rakovich. Daniel Rakovich was involved in this stuff. The cannibalism was present all the fucking time during MK Ultra. This guy had another yet completely different story. This is going to be video for some other time. Maybe I should actually even implicate this guy into this video. Maybe I should. But the girl that you have seen doing that, she was all this was released a day ago, really? Yeah, it's interesting, and it's got a good information in it. I'm sorry I didn't play you that video. Let's see if I got lucky to what do you get people to read here? What do you people get to read here? You get to read about you know, la 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 la. If you ask me, you don't get to read anything. You get to read the official account of the government. Not really the official account of the government. What you get to read is what government would not announce. That's very dangerous, because posting a stuff like this brings entire society closer to a totalitarianism, like total control of the country. When the stuff like this is posted on the internet, it brings the country closer and closer and closer to a dictatorial regime, dictatorship, simply because it's not contested by the government, because the government doesn't even have ability to contest that. And the next thing you see is the government resorts to a possible violence, because it might be a certain people within the system that get exposed, and or as a Mexican government, President of Mexico and his assistants gestured the a very, very, very different event than what most likely was the case with this girl, Gabriela Rico Jiménez. Okay, the two things somewhat match, but in a very, very, very different way. In a certain dot, however, they do intersect, and chances are that today I might actually even tell you what happened with Gabriela Rico Jiménez. This is very dangerous stuff, because she disappeared into psychiatric ward, psychiatric hospital. This is what they claim. Never was seen since. Must have been true, because how could anybody go right about somebody disappearing in a psychiatric ward if that would not be the case? But she disappeared inside of the psychiatric ward. And nobody ever contested, nobody challenged the government. Ever. How can the fuck that be good? If you start to spread news like this, you are creating a totalitarianism. This is not awareness. This took place in 2006, I understand. Or 2005, whatever. Let me just see. They released this stuff because they know that this was part of my case. This is going to be 2-hour long video. It's so difficult. This video is so difficult. Alright, so I don't have the luxury to look for the video that I was at. I'm just gonna go here. Yeah, there you have the videos. Probably the same video. Just by going through Facebook like this. And there is the video, I'm sure. Must be about the same thing. It is truly fucked up. When you are drugged up, you understand? It's totally fucked up when you're drugged up and convinced that the food that you consumed is actually parts of the human being. That is so fucked up that it's like somebody would be pulling you out of your skin. Do you agree with me? So this kind of tricks, if I go back toward London from Washington, D.C., Central Intelligence Agency and MI5, it's a very dirty stuff. This British-German democracy that world practically depends on this Paris and Amsterdam and the world practically, Copenhagen, Stockholm, and Oslo, and so on, depends on that somewhat. At least this is what you would want us to see this is. And when I consider this kind of stuff, this is fucking disgusting. I might have not eaten human beings, but the thought that you convinced me that I was actually eating a human being does not make me feel good. You understand that? That's just not... that's sick, actually. That's actually really fucking sick. And this girl here, she just doesn't know how to explain this shit, does she? She doesn't know how to say, I was subjected to MK Ultra. I was subjected to MK Ultra, and the thing about it is that they had me eat human beings. She's saying they are the one who eat people and stuff like this. They do this because she's so traumatized that she wouldn't admit and say, I ate a human. They make me eat. They force me eat a human being. She doesn't want to say this. She's out of fucking skin right now. She is on her toes. She is 3/4 insane. But not really insane. She is screaming this because she's expressing repulsion. She is expressing disapproval. She is expressing disgust, anger, frustration against the scum that did this shit to her. Please, let's take it easy. To me, this is not a pleasant video to watch. I don't like this kind of stuff. There's something about me, despite being subjected to this bestiality for 50 years, I don't, how can I say, I don't like this kind of stuff. The one who does this kind of stuff is my mom. She does it instead of me. She goes on this, almost on this type of rampage like this. And I've been watching this shit all my fucking life, so repulsive to me that I simply, mother doesn't do this all the time, but she does enough for me to actually forget I am inside of the car behind the wheel. It doesn't have to be done all the fucking time if you do it over extensive period amount of time. You know what I mean? And then you live like in a fucking trance, afraid that you're gonna have to deal with something similar to this for doing something that other males would just take as, you know, like without fucking asking anybody, you just grab and you get done. You know what I mean? In my case, you have a mommy running after me whenever the fuck I touch and doing this kind of stuff. And that will fucking rack your nerves completely. So for me, watching this stuff is not very pleasant. Folks, this is how MK Ultra is. If you don't do it, your parents will do it. And they will do it so that it wouldn't come to you in your brain that this shit is being done to you. Therefore, this type of aggressive ways. You understand me? Because this is how they keep people psychologically in, I don't know how to say, neutral position, pot position. It's a psychology. What you see here is actually a real Gabriela Rico Jiménez, who was completely out of her nerves, based on my memory. This is what must have been, like this. And stuff I will be talking to you about later, that's going to be a very different story. That's going to be a very, very different story. If this is not a real Gabriela Rico Jiménez, when I say real, I mean if she is not responding to a trauma she endured during MK Ultra. In other words, if she is faking, if she is now rehearsing what was her actual outburst, that's possible, and that's the issue I will discuss. But first thing, I want to make you understand what this looked to me like. It looks like to me like a real stuff, the way she talks. Although this is also possible to act. It's not difficult to imitate this stuff. Anybody can do it. Given that I was implicated in this incident, I want to take time to explain to you what actually took place in this case, involving also British Royals, Clinton, and all others. Okay, whenever that stuff happened, 2009, okay, that's not 2006, 2009. Okay, so that stuff is now completely irrelevant to me. The timing here is irrelevant to me when it comes to this stuff here. Okay. Now I'm going to give you what I saw basically took place. It would be nice if I had a video with a complete English. Heck, I have to. I'm going to disarm Donald Trump today as far as Iran We're gonna leave that stuff alone. It's not easy to talk about that stuff. This is not easy stuff at all. And this stuff had to be done with the super precision to make sense out of it. Because this is a testimony, a real testimony. This is how it works. She is inside of the Epstein files. That's why this stuff, they say, that's why it surfaced. So they say, this is why.
Model and disappeared back in 2009. Of course, yet another person disappearing.
All right, thanks. I have this girl here. Okay, so based on my account, when it comes to Gabriela Rico Jiménez, based to what I recall, is a different set of events. Variety of events pertaining to Gabriela Rico Jiménez. Gabriela Rico Jiménez supposedly was a girl that was involved in MK Ultra, and apparently that she was interested in me, that she wanted to marry me. I had a really hard time getting any shit together, and this love started sometimes early on, and not even in 2006, 2005, 2000, and it was a girl maybe just had a regular father. He had a few extra kilos. Her father, I remember her father. Her family, I remember. Yeah, I would say this goes to sometimes to about like 2000 and with her, maybe 2004, and that she was interested. It was more children, not only Gabriela. And I was not interested, apparently. Or maybe I was interested and maybe I was not interested. I had no fucking idea what went on. And was and maybe was not, and was and I was not. I was completely blind when it comes to age. I was interested in girls that were 6 years old, 5 years old, maybe even 5 years old. And I was interested in ladies that had, I don't know, maybe 75 years old. Because during MK Ultra, they put you in a trauma, mental state. Through the torture, through exhaustion. All you bargain for is to end this shit. And it's another thing that you bargain for is to release yourself, release your brain, release your mind in absolutely anything that would be sane. Well, there's nothing more sane in this world than females. Females can calm you down or they can drive you absolutely insane. Never underestimate females. There is two things that females can definitely do. Of course, females can also do other stuff, but because men are attracted to mostly, I'm gonna say, mostly females, can also be males, but mostly females. I found myself searching for a female features even in the males, and I found some males as extremely attractive too, because of degree of torture, the guys were looking at me crazy. And well, most of them, if I started to flirt with them, they had a good time, and they started to flirt back with me. It was like this. They were like thinking, oh, he's a cuckoo, he's crazy, he's cuckoo. And no, this is just a degree of torture that can do to you, that it will force you to search for anything that will calm your mind down. That's a pure psychology, pure psychiatry is what this is. So, it depends, everything during MK Ultra depends on a lot of factors. So, apparently that I not like her, and was not interested in her. And even worse, in 2006, I departed the United States of America. I decided I'm going to go back to Europe because there was nothing when it comes to job-wise with the United States of America. After declining me the right to employment for the police officer, law enforcement officer, based on unstable employment history, that's what they created the case out of it, because there was nothing else they could possibly do about it. They should, not that they should give me the job was mine, but this was the excuse they found. That's how they did with me. I decided to go back to Europe, and I was not interested in anything practically that America had to offer. I was just not interested anymore in this stuff. And well, she started to get really angry with me, very bad. Sometimes in 2000 and I don't know, I got back to Chicago 2008, not back to Chicago, but I traveled to Chicago in 2008. I decided I'm going to live in the Chicago, no longer in Miami, so I traveled from Slovenia back to US, Chicago. Yeah, I said to myself, I was extremely disappointed about what took place in Slovenia, back in Europe. And I said to myself, I'm going to take it easy, and I don't give a fuck anymore about anything other than myself. And so I'll take it easy, get myself a job, and just enjoy a little bit. Go on some fishing trip, enjoy myself fishing along the Lake Michigan, throw myself a little bit, bat myself a little bit in the lake, swim, is what I'm trying to say. And it exploded because I was again delivered to the girl. I was redistributed all over the place, and it just happened so that I didn't want, just simply I didn't want. And the year was sometimes 2008, and that's where the shit broke out. And I have no fucking idea what happened. They say she was 21 at the time. And you saw the rest of it. I mean, she came out and she is just completely in a lost mental state. She did appear to me one time when they had me down there. The one who traveled to Monterey really was a Bill Clinton. I traveled with the Bill Clinton. Joe Biden also traveled to Monterey. Americans started to travel. It was the year when they did travel to Monterey. Few years earlier, they traveled a lot to Monterey. This is true, that they did travel. So what she is alleging something over there, it does have sense. Now, I don't know. I don't know the whole fucking thing. I don't know how much did she met and whom she met and that kind of stuff. I have no fucking idea about that kind of stuff. But the thing is, when the big boys are in town, anything is possible. Hey, it's possible that that there's so many MKUltra towns around the world where politicians travel if they have the opportunity to. I mean, you know. And so, might have been that something bad happened to her because on one opportunity it appeared that she was in extremely bad mental state. And I have no idea exactly what happened. Whether they did took her to a psychiatric ward or wherever the things might have been. They indicated that she would not calm down or whatever the case might have been, and she disappeared. She disappeared, and within the 3 days, she was out. She was back. It appeared to me that Mexican president, governor of, what is the name of this place here? It doesn't matter. They have provinces, mayor, whatever the case might have been, whoever was, Nuevo Leon, governor, whatever. Monterrey mayor, I have no idea how that works. Whoever it was, the politicians that were implicated with this stuff. She did travel around when I was in a town. That was the case, that she did go out. In 2009, she was 21. She started to travel around or about sometimes in way earlier, like way earlier. You know, that means that this was like one of the call girls or something like that, a specialty, a local specialty in Monterrey that she got to know. Maybe dated this rich guys and stuff like that as an underage girl, that kind of stuff. It's a very high probability. Maybe age, well, 2004, you take away 5 more years and you get age, well, about 16 years of age, you know, maybe even earlier. And this parties, let me just think about something. She was becoming already too old for this stuff. I remember now a little bit better. She was already becoming too old for this. She did this when she was way younger. They like the girls that are actually somewhere up to 18. They explained to me that stuff. They don't even like the girls over 18. These people did not like the girls over 18. That's what Bill Gates, Clinton, and all these people are going to explain about that stuff. They did not even like girls over age 18. Mexicans explain to me all this stuff. So, girls usually start a career as escorts wherever you want to, dating this older. They got awarded by the local government, city, or province, federal, whatever the case might have been. They start to date when they're like 12 years old. In some cases even earlier. They are just looking for the piece of meat to entertain these people that come in a town. Business people. That's how they get the money on the table. That's how they get business going. This is a government-run stuff. She did travel around. That is definitely true. So, she disappeared. I don't know. I really do not know how the hell that happened. I know that she came out like after 3 days or 2 days. I know that they did go to her, visit her and stuff like this, and it did came out. and appeared immediately as completely normal, and still wanted to talk to me about marrying her, this and that, and I was just not interested in. And, well, then what happened was, she said that she's going to do something like this. So, at this stage, at this point in time, as I am talking about her, I sincerely hope that the person I'm talking about is still her. Because why? Well, because during MK Ultra, it's so easy. It's just so easy to get another girl imitate somebody based on whose events the whole story is going to come out. So I sincerely hope that after like 2 days, not 3 days, but 2 days, she returned home, maybe even the next day, I don't know, from the psychiatric institution, and that then it's what all that stuff started with, indoctrinated me about about this incident, how this incident would look like, how this stuff is going to be, basically learning about my case and trying to get interest from me about. That's how I view this as. I view this as somebody was trying to get interest from me. Biden claimed they never traveled to Monterey. Clinton and these people, they claim that they never traveled to Monterey. And this is a difficult thing for me to prove, because when they fly me to some location, unless I would meet with the politicians over there, how can I make the claim? You know, earlier I said that they did travel. It appeared to me that they traveled. But when you take the issue of what is known as the silicone masks, and the silicone mask I spoke about on my channel. The silicone masks were one of the biggest things implicated in MK Ultra. This is the issue that dates all the way back to, I don't know, 1995, 90, with CIA actually even supplied police with the silicone mask and stuff like that. They started to play with the silicone mask, imitating realistically looking features of the people. It's illegal stuff, but a neighbor, Metot Yerman, was directly implicated in this stuff. The village people were young kids were directly implicated in this stuff. And their job was actually to refute the visits of politicians and royalties from overseas. This was their assignment. That's what their assignment was. Their job was to provide evidence, proofs, just like they claim for this house they did not visit. They claimed that they had other houses where similar or same houses where the royals and Americans would visit, and demanded from me to talk about that stuff instead. In Russia, in Ukraine, even in America, they claimed they had one house that was like this one. All this stuff is done to make the whole thing about the stuff that I talk about on my blog, on my site, questionable. And the same thing was with the silicone masks. Now, however, they can also do stuff like this. But now, in my opinion, Joe Biden was in Monterey. In my opinion, Bill Clinton, Bill Gates did travel to Monterey. They did travel to Mexico, these people. Was it exactly Monterey? Whatever it was, how the fuck can I know that? Based on severe visitations to what appeared to me clearly was a Monterey beginning 2002. Yes, all the way sometime to 2009 maybe. 2007, 2009. These were the people who directly traveled the whole circle to Monterey. It's a very, very strong probability. And I have no fucking idea about what happened. Maybe the girl wanted to help me out. She seems to me extremely knowledgeable, but there was also a Mexican governor even federal government, president did not want to know anything about this stuff. All through a Mexican president was involved in it. I sensed his presence. Politicians, everybody knew about this stuff. I have no idea how it worked. I don't know how it all happened. But they made the case out of this thing. And interestingly, because this is so dangerous, this shit. This is such a difficult stuff to talk about. MK Ultra is not a oh, he did this to me and he did that to me and it was this one and that one and so on. That would be too fucking easy. They implicated ghost workers, people who were not employed at certain locations, businesses that did not exist, gas stations, buildings even that did not exist, using a three-dimensional Googles to convince and stuff. That shit was crazy. They try to question, doubt you every millimeter, every inch of the way. And in this case, yes, it happened just like I told you. She was taken to a psychiatric facility, and she was taken the next day, most likely out. As I remember her father, police, talking, whoever this, whether it was a state prosecutor or a governor, I have no fucking idea, or mayor, I don't know. He said, if she's not gonna come out now, she's never gonna come out. In other words, she had to shut up and do whatever she's told to do. And off we go. She comes out, and whether this is the original video that you see here, I do not know. I have no idea. All I know is that they orchestrated this stuff in such a way, whether that be most likely afterwards, that it would be imitation of initial, this is in my opinion, of initial incident. So in other words, what you see here, they went on to imitate again in front of me, for me to see it with my own eyes, involving people and whatever the hell that took place.
She was filmed outside of a luxury hotel screaming about how they were eating people. Everyone thought...
Whatever they did, this is what they do. They involve people. They involve personnel. They involved all kinds of people in this stuff to make it feel like you're right there when you see the video afterwards. So you don't have any kind of difficulty to recall this. And you even get to identify people. So far, I identify a Mexican president whom I would not at all get anywhere on a picture. But because they made themselves clear about also who was involved in it. This was a governor, mayor, police, that kind of stuff, prosecutors and stuff like this, all kinds of Mexican government people. But at one point in time, they started to claim it that the federal government doesn't even know anything about that. But then, as a matter of fact, the president is here, that kind of stuff went on. Now I have to yet see which president might not even be a president back then yet. They do this kind of stuff. It doesn't matter whether he was a president back then yet, or was already president who already served his term, or was actual president at the time. Doesn't fucking matter. Because during MK Ultra, when you're a victim of MK Ultra, the point is to prove that you are a mentally ill person, that you are a schizophrenic, that you are a paranoid. So the more inconsistent, the more confused you are, the more they earned money. They were not only paying for good-looking girls, ladies I should say, involved in MK Ultra, they were paying also to make you look crazy, to make you present yourself. Yeah, it would have been only possible to make me look like this would be like totally the thing. This is a hotel. This is not a gas station. So, do you know why she's screaming? She's screaming because she thinks that she ate people. She doesn't know how to explain this shit. Yeah, I mean, they convinced her that she just ate people. That's why she is screaming. In other words, she is thinking about, I don't want to be guilty of eating people. I don't want to be guilty of, whatever the fuck they have done to her. Her father taught her to be instead with me, not with these guys anymore, that she basically, they didn't see any more prosperity in her doing this kind of stuff, and they didn't want to have her as a prostitute, you know? They didn't want to have her as a prostitute. Shit. Stuff doesn't come out, huh? Everything doesn't come out about the cannibalism. I wrote about it. Much of it I did not even... Every Russian cannibalism case was implicated in MK Ultra. Every fucking one of them. Is that good enough? Every fucking one of them. Every one of them. They make me believe that cannibals just somehow, some fucking way, like me. They made me, they did not, yeah, they actually did, because the violence is so overwhelming. The world of MK Ultra was so disgusting, and you don't really know who the person is that approaches to you as a nice guy, till actually they make you feel that you ate something between the teeth. The story surfaces up with a usual suspect in the picture from MK Ultra. They were involving real criminals in it. People who committed crimes and were giving them reduced sentences. They were giving them all kinds of circumstances that those gladly complied to participate in MK Ultra. So it's not real stuff that might have been done to you. Exactly. That's what they claim. It's not the real stuff. But the person that this shit is being done to, for the person that this shit is being done to, that's fucking real. That stuff is real. Think about what makes things real. Just because you are subconsciously manipulated and subjected to certain practice, imitation maybe of a horrendous crime, that doesn't mean that it's not real. Because the purpose of that stuff is to scare the living shit out of you, to terrorize, to traumatize the living shit out of you. And there's nothing worse than, like this girl, you find yourself a bit out of the skin because you don't know how the fuck to explain this shit. You actually know what the fuck happened, but you cannot say to anybody that it's MK Ultra, that you are subjected to MK Ultra, because if you say this without a further explanation, yeah, you might actually really disappear inside of the psychiatric asylum for good. No? Yeah. If you don't have any evidence proves this is the way it shouldn't be, but with the police we have, with the people in charge, yes, it can. It easily can. Yes, it can. The Monterey was scheduled since 2001. I remember this stuff now. A lot of Monterey. That Joe Biden will not travel there, that's crazy. Everybody from Epstein files traveled over there. It was loaded. So, then the girl learned afterwards, after this real incident took place, that they rehearsed this stuff, that she will just disappear of the picture. That's basically disappointed in me that I was not interested in marrying her, that kind of stuff. and gone off the picture. At one point in time, in front of me, she video recorded herself, and with some Mexican state individual person, soliciting also, who the fuck knows, maybe Biden, maybe some other state figure, I don't know who, about whether they could place her on Epstein files. What exactly that means? What that means is that she was bribed. That means that there was money to be made in it, because if you pose next to me and you talk to some bureaucrat from the United States of America who has enough powers to enter information on your actually on some kind of a Epstein files, and you do this in front of me in my presence, and I didn't want to have nothing to do with her no more at that stage, because this shit was traumatic, whatever they were doing. This whole thing kind of reminds me of Pablo Escobar, basically. You wouldn't want to comply, and then we got to do something to fuck you, basically. She gave me all kinds of bad luck stuff, which I do not blame her. You know, I absolutely do not blame her. She said to me that she would come to me to live in Chicago, as I was on my own in Chicago in 2008. Yeah, and I was just not interested. Maybe I made a mistake. That's the way this stuff was. And then she was very, very disappointed because I would not take her to Chicago. And then, I don't know, then they took her to one of those parties and gave her a little bit cannibalism lesson through MK Ultra, which is the easiest thing to do. And then they remove her from the picture. I remember her house. I remember a lot of details about this girl. What exactly would that mean for me? If you say that in my presence, that if you can enter my name in also, so that my name would be also listed in this case and stuff like that, not authentic, not legitimate, etc., etc., etc. I didn't want to have anything to do with her. And in that moment, but she behaved not really rationally too. She should take fucking time and talk to me about these people and stuff more, and calm and stuff like this. And because my persona, my MK Ultra personality was just like this, maybe the one who was right back then, maybe she was, because I was an asshole. Because I probably should have listened to her, and I did not listen to her. At that time, she was definitely right, and I was wrong. I actually become even a lunatic who disputed her claims in front of some fucking Biden or somebody. That's very bad for her, because she saw it, she knew it, she watched it. Yeah, the main individual, the main witness, that was myself, disputed and shit like this. That's fucking stupid. That is really fucking stupid. Do you know what happened next? Do you know what happened next? What happened next was about 3 years, not 3 years later. Ah, yeah, we do have a problem here. No, we actually don't have a problem. 3 years later. Yeah, that's correct. 2012. In 2012, I had people proposing in front of Prince Charles. Psychiatric Institution, 2009. Psychiatric Institution, 2009. Psychiatric Institution, 2009. Huh. Yeah. All right. 2011, 2012. 3 years later, I know that. I had Prince Charles inside of our house here in the city of Novo Mesto. Slovenian police, and in the presence of Americans, instigated me in maybe the same should have been done with me as it was done with Gabriela Rico Jiménez. Oh, that's a bad reminder of what you would do with me. They instigated into a psychiatric hospitalization. That was not nice. They implicated on how she disappeared. Now the story was already big. It was well known. I do have a little bit problem here with what I told you right now. The year 2009 is actually, yeah, but it is, because she wanted to live with me in Chicago. She wanted to live with me in Chicago. And so yes, 2009 is legitimate. And we go back to Slovenian police, to even Americans instigating that. You know, they just say, maybe we should have done the same thing with him as we have done it with Gabriela Rico Jiménez. They don't say Gabriela Rico Jiménez, but they say with a girl down in Mexico. You know, psychiatric hospitalization and then make her disappear. Well, let me tell you something. I've seen more generous people than that. I honestly did. I mean, why would you be so evil? Why would you be so naughty, so not nice to somebody that you practically screw his life up entirely? Deleted, wiped his life away completely. And it was about Göteborg, I should say Karlstad. It was about MK Ultra that I started to talk also in 2010. Much less than 3 years, about a year maybe and a half later, they already started to instigate in this issue. When I started to talk about MK Ultra, Prince Charles had Slovenes and Americans that threatened me with possible psychiatric hospitalization if I don't shut up. He was the one who calmed them down. He was always like, they did this in front of him, and he was like, no. He wouldn't be like, no. He would be like, he was always like, no. He doesn't sound like me at all. He doesn't fucking sound like me at all. You know, this is a very when he is into something, he's very, very calculative, and he is just, he's very, very laid back individual. He's very, very, very comfortable, laid back individual. very well sorted out his criminal mindset in the direction that he wants to accomplish. And it's like, he would be looking at me always like, you know, like this, you know, like to see that, you know, what he's gonna get in my eyes, basically, what he's gonna read on my face. Psychiatrist cops prided himself with reading my face. Cops from Novo Mesto police station gestured on how they know for every move that I make, for every facial expression and so on. It's that kind of stuff. This is a madness, total madness. And they recorded my facial expression for this, along the stuff that was done, and analyzed that stuff. Of course they don't do this for everybody, but of course they had to do it in my case. They had no choice, really. And when they mentioned to me this type of technology in 2010, as I started to talk about MK Ultra when I was in Norway, Bergen, I should say in Sweden, Karlstad, it was like Charles was fucking around. Yeah, maybe we should, you know, maybe we should, you know. The British Royals were into this stuff, you know. Maybe we should, you know. Maybe you're very personal with you, you know. Maybe, you know, maybe if you're not gonna, you know, you're not gonna stop with this, maybe, in that sense, you know. And when they mention him again, that maybe, you know, that stuff should just be done with me. There was another case. There was yet another. There was one more girl they have done this to. Apparently, there was another girl they make disappear, but sometimes in 2006. And also Gabriela was already involved in some bad stuff, in my case, like already in 2007 and 2006. It was already bad stuff that she was implicated in. And it was on a no-no list, as far as I'm concerned. Attractive and very, very attractive. I was actually the one who expressed the interest in her. Whoa, this is difficult to explain. MK Ultra is a very, very rocky world. But I'm doing a good job with this video to make you understand what that feels like, how that stuff is. Yeah, I actually was interested in Gabriela. Beginning sometimes in 2001. In 2001, that was 8 years less than 8 years less than she had another girl. I don't know whether that was a sibling girl, I don't know, but it was two girls or a neighbor, I don't know. And these people were involved in bad stuff. Her family and her relatives, the whole neighborhood and stuff. And these people were involved in torture probably prior maybe 15 years. Talking about her father, her family, neighbors and stuff like this. This was a long MK Ultra family. I just identified her, exactly who she was. I was fishing here under the house by myself, sometimes in my 6th grade of grammar school, 5th grade of grammar school. 1984, 1983, when these people were involved, talking about her family also, including her family, in torture. Not a fucking thing went on. Her father had a brothers, from what I recall. He might have been like he was like the youngest or something like that. I don't know. I have no fucking idea what that was. And I didn't want to have nothing to do with these people. Absolutely nothing. And I guess these girls cried out in the world. And sometimes in 2001, that was September 11, Twin Towers, World Trade Center. They already procrastinated me dead before that. In 1999, that I'm dead, buried already. This was also the thing. In 98, 99, what they did to me during MK Ultra, for most of the people, you would not even have a Pope from Vatican if he would come to you and try to convince you that everything is okay. He could not fucking convince you. Like, your life is going to be okay. You don't have to worry about it. They could have people, whatever fucking place, come to you, most of you, and talk to you about this shit, and they would not convince you. Most of you have probably committed even a suicides anyways. I had even all kinds of stuff. I don't want to get into it right now. Some other time. This was a madness. Mess. They call it a mess. British royals, Andrew and Charles, love to use the word mess. Mess. It's mass. Whatever is madness for the person that goes through this shit is just a mess. Fix it. Like, fix it. Basically. Whatever you're doing right, it's a madness. If it's something that you're doing right, it's a madness. They have it's a whole vocabulary that pertains to this stuff. So this Mexican family, I was thinking about, even as that's how I know. I was fucking fishing down here below. Fucking try to escape this fucking shit. I would go picking the fucking mushrooms, or I would go fucking fishing, and I would be fucking whole fucking day by the water looking at the float, if it's gonna go down, if the fish is gonna bite, so that I would have a little thrill, little excitement to get this shit out of my head. If my father wouldn't come here, I wouldn't be even alive. I had something crazy to do. I had to do something and do crazy things to escape from this madness. Wherever the fuck it was. In the world of my own, or die. Fishing in a fucking dark here, right? That rock that you have seen me swimming. And talking to myself in my head about this, exactly Mexico, about this stuff. And I can tell you that this was just dangerous. Thinking about this shit, I would start to lose. I would start to lose this shit was so powerful, this MK Ultra torture, that this is actually totally impossible to explain. See it like this. You see your co-evils that you go to the schoolmates. You see them press the button and they listen to music. And they listen to music, and it's something that is affirming a courage, being decisive, take initiative in life, do things for better. Life tomorrow will be better. It will be more and better. A good-looking car, a good-looking girl, a good-looking watch, whatever the fuck might be. They actually celebrate that shit, and then make sure that you see your schoolmates having, you know, stuff, you know, and you just don't have it. Skis, watches, you know, all kinds of stuff, whatever the fuck case might be in your little head. Most of the people that would drive insane, but I had a technology to beat that stuff, to avoid that stuff. I specialized myself in what other people did not. Therefore, kids. I specialized myself into a fishing. And nobody gives a fuck about the fishing. Nobody cares about the fishing. So there you go. That's a strange little hobby that you can do with excitement, without other kids on the picture. Ta-da! So you avoid actually being screwed up. More than bicycle, more than skis, it's a fishing rods, it's a fishing reels, it's that kind of stuff that matters to you. So they lose, you know, on these issues. My father actually, when I think about all this stuff, whew, in a way he helped me survive this shit by doing the stuff that he was doing. He came very handy to me, this stuff. If you have kids, you may want to do this stuff. You may want to listen. The stuff I tell you. You may want to go and send them on picking up mushrooms for the whole fucking day long. Barack Obama was picking up mushrooms with me also. And deemed that I was insane because I love to pick up the mushrooms so much. This is actually the time when I even became a very good friend of Barack Obama. But this is the time when Barack Obama became precious to me. I was waiting for my friend Barack to come from the US so we could go pick up the mushrooms. This is fucking true. The Amalia and what's her name? Amalia and Sasha, right. They were not even born that yet. And then they were born, they were just babies. And when they were born, I told Barack to just forget about Michelle. Fuck Michelle. Come, my friend, to Slovenia. We gotta go pick up the mushrooms. That's when Barack started to look at me a little bit with surprise. But he understood. And he came up with some better plans. This is true. I'm not lying to you. Sounds crazy, and but then things started to go really bad. I don't know what happened, but then they started to go bad. Yeah, it was a time when Barack Obama was how different, right? How crazy that is. I mean, how the fuck can that be when we had such a big disputes with him, and then on the other hand, well, these are just different MK Ultra sessions. You, as an MK Ultra controller, you can present yourself to the same person through different roles. You can present yourself as a nice Barack, and you can present yourself as a motherfucker Barack. It depends which role you choose. This is why people love it so much, this shit. It's addictive. It's addictive crap. Yes, it was time like this when Barack Obama was my dear friend. So this sounds already fucking crazy enough for you? This shit lasted for half a century, 50 years. They called me a dinosaur. I was fishing down there, and it's actually this way when I look at the computer on the screen. But when you do it like this, I don't know how. I have to fix this. Whatever the camera, I have this stuff wrong. And I was thinking about this bullshit in Monterrey. That's why I know how long this girl was involved, and then she was born and her father picked her on the picture. I think that he sent her into action, talking about the Gabriela in this case. I noticed Gabriela when she was 11, 12 years less. This girl must have been just in 1998. In 1998. This is a very, very young girl in 1998. In 2009, she was 21. In 98. Well, for sure she started to date. Whether it was through MKH, I do not know. But for sure she started to date when, absolutely I'm certain, by the time it was 2001. For sure. And it must have been even before that. It was like, as soon as I noticed her, that I became attracted to her. I think that father simply threw her to the sharks. This is just the way it was. Because father also told me, well, you found her attractive. So I don't know how the hell that worked. I guess that if you find a girl attractive, if I found a girl attractive, yes, this was the case all the fucking time. I had a Zuckerberg stalking me all the way to the Philippines with already his Chinese wife to see what I found, which female that I found. Zuckerberg became obsessed with my taste for the women. They were obsessed that any female that I found interesting, that was interesting to me, it was like, my God, this was like a fucking switchboard that went completely crazy. I mean, immediately a novelty, immediately something exclusive, something that all involved in this elites wanted to see, touch, know. As I said, even touch. This is an issue Gabriela alone would have to tell you. I noticed her definitely different, very different in 2001. In 2001, with girl, it appeared to me that they were already going around and stuff, whatever the fuck went on. For sure. In 2001, for sure, they started to go around. Mom didn't like this. Her mom did not like it first. And that I screw her daughter and stuff like this with this stuff. And, you know, then these males took over. And, but, you know how they say in Spanish? They say, cállate la boca. And that means, shut your mouth. Las mujeres no tienen derecho. The women don't have the rights to say how and this and that. Not even moms. Not everywhere, of course, is like this. In some locations, the husbands don't have the right to say. But in this case, it was like this. So I'm giving you the numbers of proximity so that you can understand quite enough about what went on. For me, this shit with the Mexico in, like I said, 1998 was too fucking depressive. But in 1998, they told me this Serbs are also involved in this stuff. That I'm 100% dead. It's just 100% estás muerto, man. You go, and all you fucking go is for people to tell you that you're dead. You turn the TV on, you see a video spot, and it's a Michael Jackson or is some other one that is a big hit, a big song, and you just don't want to really see it. You listen it, if you have a tape, you don't really want to see whoever the fuck you see that on a TV. Because that kind of reminds me of the Irish patriotic song, I ran through your garden last night. Basically describing the, whatever they call them, black coats or whatever, the British soldiers, how they you know, deliberately vandalized during occupation of the island everything in gardens, and you know, molested people, and were coming with the police to pick up the people, IRA and stuff like this, resistance. And it kind of reminds you that maybe just a few days earlier, or months, or year, or 2, 3 before, you were in the studio when they were recording and rehearsing this video, and it was all kinds of stupid shit that you were told. Placed in a role of total loser, on basically promised and death and everything, which was the case with the Hollywood, with all the singers and stuff. So some people draw a positive energy, and I also draw a positive energy. Well, fuck the musicians. Fuck the controllers. I invented idea of my own when it came to this bullshitters that were doing the stuff like this. And that basically, I didn't want to know the lyrics. I did not want to understand what the songs were all about, what the songs sing about. All I wanted to do is basically play, basically, and it was ping, 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 whatever it was, and the only thing I did was, yeah! Maybe I was the biggest loser in the world, but on the other hand, it was only I, myself, who had to feel I was not, and dance on those tunes. Learn, basically, to completely disregard, block impressions from MK Ultra. And I did so very successfully through the music. La musica, bing, bing, bing. And so they didn't have effect on me. All that bullshit. They had the Serbian musicians, and they had all this, you know, yeah, man, you dead, and so on. I turned the fucking radio on, bam, you know, and for me it was like grab something and just toss it behind and twist the fucking radio and have a good time. Fuck off. If you twist the radio good, yeah, actually, it even relieve you from this shit that went on, because it created a little short stick. You relaxed yourself, you know, and so this is just the way it was. This did have a negative stuff, of course, too. It did came with the negative consequences, this kind of stuff. This is when I was started to search during the puberty. I started to search on my own identity, and then it started to appeal to me a music that was like, you know, whatever, you know, that I wanted my own identity and shit, and got myself also in trouble through this musicians world, which scumbags have related to the issues. I had nothing to do with it, and were using that even as a proofs against me that it was stuff that I was related to. I had musicians, one of my favorite musicians became, let's say, group Leibach, And those guys actually definitely did glorified Nazism. I got it from the Berger here, from the Berger, the communist Berger here, the one who traveled to the Belgrade every week. That's what I got it from. It was good. It was prohibited, but it was good. It was involved in MK Ultra, and I brought it home. I was smart stupid in a certain way, because I told you I didn't even listen to the songs, whatever the songs had to say. But in that case, I was not really smart, because those songs, you didn't have to be smart to understand. They were extremely rhythmic, but you didn't have to be smart to understand. You actually started to search, because it was so rhythmic and so aggressive and so assertive, that you started to search the meaning, understanding the identity of those songs, and it was so rhythmic that it actually pulled you inside of that, and without even realizing, you started to not reject something that you should have rejected, that you shouldn't have anything to do with. And so there's a problems right there for you. Those who delivered me those songs on a table were afterwards those who persecuted me, if that makes sense. And then I met another schoolmate years later that he had a whole collection of these Laibach songs and stuff like this. But I'm just giving you an example how this stuff works. How people get drawn into stuff that they have no connection to, whatever. And yeah, despite my listening to that music, I still had no connection about that stuff. And I started to get all kinds of weirdos looking at me like, that is very prospective for our cause. Obviously a Nazi cause. And I look at them with the interest. You had all kinds of people involved in this stuff, but I really didn't know what the fuck it means. All the fuck I wanted is a good-looking lady, money, that kind of stuff, and they knew about this stuff. They understood. They knew how it works. But then this is more and more political, and you are now driving on the opposite line of the road with the cars coming in your direction, and you start to smash those cars that are coming because you're not moving back to your road. Then you don't want to move because those people, they're not fucking nice. I mean, sometimes you just want to drive on that other side of the road and smash cars. Sort of example that I give you. Stupid example I gave you too, given that I almost got into the car accident a few days ago. But this is sort of the world I was, basically the time that I traveled through, so many issues, people that I met along the way. No, I said no, nothing about the neo-Nazism, not a fucking thing. I didn't know, I must have been the most fucking stupid person in the world. I had no fucking idea about the Hitler, I had no fucking idea about the Rommel, I had no fucking idea about anything that pertained to the neo-Nazism. I had nowhere I could take it from. Both sides of my family were involved in a resistance against the Nazis, and the only connection that I had was a good rhythmic songs. I live in the world of my own, basically, but surrounded with a really bad people who exploited any kind of, Slovenian Kuchan, Pahor, and Golov and so on, that exploited any kind of anything that they could maliciously interpret it into something else, to interpret it into something else. That's all there was. And relate this stuff into picture that they wanted to justify their violence, basically. This is the way it is. the most important part about this video, I don't have the proof that she was meeting Prince Charles or Prince Andrew, but I do remember Gabriela when they would go to pick her up with me inside of the car, obviously also with the police, and obviously recording this stuff. When Gabriela would come to me in the car, sit inside of the car, and she would talk, she would she would give a police report. Today I was meeting this guy and 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 this guy. She stayed for about 2-3 days in those houses. I did not understood anything, but this Mexican government, in a way, they were trying to assist me. In a way, they were trying to fucking kill me. Boy, I was not the one who bargained for the fucking war with the entire world. Do you understand me? The one who bargained for me to have the war with the entire world were Russian, Chinese, British, German, French, American. Is there like any other political party out there? I don't know how much South Americans give a fuck about it. South Americans didn't give a fuck about it. If South Americans would just, to them was more important that you go and you get some chick. You know what I mean? This shit mattered to the Russians enormously, and to the Serbs, and because they wanted me dead. And there was more to whom this shit mattered. It mattered to the Western elites, not including to Americans, but also to all the royalties that were involved in this stuff. They didn't want me on a fucking picture. They want me fucking dead. They want me to get into the world with the entire world. That 9/11 that you see as a header of this blog, right on top of the page that you see every time when you click, that's not a war on the entire world, but this is a war on Illuminatis. This is no longer warning, because at this stage in time you should not come up with anything like this based on the threats, based on the power that British royals, I should say corruption, that British royals are in control of throughout the Western world and so on. And I have chosen to bury these people simply because damage they have done to me was so overwhelming, and not because damage they have done to me was so overwhelming, but because there was no responsibility, anything whatsoever they took upon themselves to assist, to help in absolutely any way. They wanted me fucking dead. So if the people like this want you dead, they will get you killed one way or the other. There is absolutely no doubt about it. Unless somehow you manage to get them killed. If that sounds logical to you? I mean, these people did so much bad stuff, so unwilling to assist, that the police here in Slovenia in 2024, I had a gutsy individual coming on my face and gesturing me that MK Ultra is just a telepathy. That I told him that I communicated telepathically with a police officer, female police officer at the police station, and the police officers and stuff like this, which is a total cretin. That was Andrei Stefanic, if I have to remind that kind of stuff, and wrote this on his report and stuff. Which is like a debil conclusion, like idiot conclusion, completely twisted out of Slovenian language into piece of paper based on his own taste. Something like when I was thrown into the psychiatric hospital in 2012 and they claimed that I did not know where the fuck I was. The problem with I don't know if they're gonna kill this scum. I told you that if it was up to me, I would have purged you. I would have fucking purged every fucking one of you, because for me, you're just completely worthless creatures, human creatures. It's not me talking to the Charles here and to the British royals. It's you. It's you. Never forget, it's you who painted me on the picture of Russian Romanos, on that picture that was taken of the execution of the Russian Romanos. You motherfucker are the one who brought me to one of your palaces and demonstrated me a big fucking picture about their execution and suggested me that it's detectives that work on this case, that they still work on this case, and use a British detective to suggest me that once I start to see myself in this picture, that I'm in trouble and stuff like this. It's you who painted me on that picture, motherfucker. You declared the war on me. You painted me on that picture, yet you even presented yourself as God to me. You demanded for me to see you as a God, which would be ultimate insult to the God, because I do believe in a God. I don't believe in you, but I do believe in God. You're the one who declared the war on me. I analyzed this thoroughly, what the fuck you did. That's a very bad stuff you did. Like I said, if it was for me, I would have purged you. What the fuck they gonna do with you, what the British are gonna choose to do with you, because there's nobody that can force British in whatever they don't feel like. That is up to them. But for me, you are completely worthless human creatures, is what you are. It took you 50 years to push me over the brink. And I was giving you warnings, serious warnings, since 2010. And then I started to increase them. You actually even threw me inside of the psychiatric hospital in return, like I said, in 2012, that's basically pretty much it. That's the end of it. That's pretty much when we split like this apart. Her issue was used by the British royals to intimidate. Maybe we should just done like we have done with a girl in 2006. There was another girl that they supposedly destroyed. Might have not even been 2006. Sorry how stupid I am. In 2004. There was another girl that supposedly was thrown into the psychiatric hospital. And then in 2009, it was Gabriela that was thrown into the psychiatric hospital. And now her case being thrown into the psychiatric hospital, that's a highly criminal offensive stuff. The girl had such a big issue on her mind. There might have been not such a big issue, really, but it should have been a big issue for the society, because convincing somebody that he was consuming a human parts should be concern for every normal family, for every individual. This is where you go far too far with it. It appears that Mexican government did this shit to reset her. Father didn't want her to get into prostitution, and they liked these girls until they were like, they told me, until they were like age 18, 19, fresh. 19, not even anymore. And the problem is that after 20, these girls become part of these cartels and stuff, and then they are turned into the prostitution. And so the Mexican government did something to her, I guess, to give her a little bit human meat to taste in her mind, that pulled her out, and did not know how to explain, because they did explain to her. If you ever say, they tell everybody. If you ever say MK Ultra, you go to the psychiatric hospital. Is this good video or is not video? If you watch these videos, you become immune from this bullshit. This is a whole lot of money. A lot of money. This is the girls that I demonstrated you, the Indian girls from Amazon, the beautiful girls. And I think this was the girl. And it was another girl. Either she was or was the other one. It was one that was older that I saw it. Vi, something like this is her name. She collected the money for calming me down. The Indian people, native Indian people inside of Amazonas know about what MK Ultra is. You understand? So hearing, knowing this stuff is priceless. I was even told it takes only one man like you to completely destroy MK Ultra. I don't know if I'm going to be able to destroy MK Ultra around the world entirely, but I am the man who exposed what MK Ultra is, that this is not a telepathy. This actually is based on drugs, sensory deprivation, also timing deprivation, because they confuse with the timing, by foremost involving other people, doppelgangers of the subjects based on whom they develop the certain stories. Manipulation, brainwash. It's real. It's not fake, it's real, like I'm real here. That's a big deal, because whatever the fuck you are, you can go to the police station and say, stop doing this shit to me. You did this, come on, chico or chica. Tu eres loco, eres loca. No, I'm not loca. It's such a thing. This guy talks about it. He spoke about this stuff. He presented the proofs about it. He documented it. He proven it. And you did this to me. You did that to me. That's not the paranoia. It's not mental illness. You did it. And so on and so forth. Better for you if you have the proofs. Now you learn how to get the proofs. And your life might be saved rather than destroyed. So I don't know if it takes one man alone to destroy this. Addiction that some people suffer from, but I'll make a difference. My case already made a big difference. They were using literally next to the girl, whoever the girl was, in 2003, 2004, might have been even 2003. They have thrown her in a psychiatric hospital. They were using case of the Gabriela also to intimidate me, to harass me, to do everything they possibly could to stop me from talking about MK Ultra, which I started to talk about in Sweden in 2010, Karlstad. And Prince Charles, now King Charles, was on the picture. Now, when I say so, you know that this is the way it is. You know there is no fucking escape when I say so. I'm not a legitimate person. I'm a person who's Donald Trump announced me during MK Ultra. There will be 1 million documents or millions of documents, however, that will be missing from the Epstein case. And that is the material that pertains to your case. Way before recently the news surfaced up that millions of pages from Epstein case are missing. Donald Trump was the one who told me that what's going to be missing from the Epstein case is going to be my folder, my stuff, which is by far the biggest folder of them all. Half a century of MK Ultra and everything that this world had, from gangsters to presidents, dictators, you fucking name it, everything. Whatever anything intersected, everything intersected right through here, through this here. So when I say Prince Charles, King Charles, there is no escape. There is no, you can run, you can try, you can whatever the fuck you can, but you cannot hide. There is no escape from this. She definitely was meeting all kinds of people, politicians from United States of America, some of whom I might even recall. Those whom she might have been personally meeting with, and who oftentimes would also travel with me to Monterey, included, I would say, Houston mayor, Texas politicians, absolutely she did. They like that. And I'm trying to think about what she was talking to me inside of the car when she came in the car. Once I see this document that CIA is going to release, and I'm pretty confident that they will release this, there is no escape from this. I mean, you will not release this, and I have you in a little finger, really. Remember when I told you that it's dangerous to talk about news like this, how somebody was just thrown in a psychiatric hospital because of statements Gabriela made, and not resolving this type of stuff, not following up on that kind of stuff, while the case is being completely redistributed to, in a parenthesis, alternative media. If every YouTuber was involved in this, if every streamer was involved in this case, what the hell that tells you? How controlled is the alternative media? And why is it that my case, why is it that my stuff that I do, that I did so much, just doesn't come out legitimate and is indicating 3 video views on a YouTube and, you know, 1 view and stuff like this, or 3 views is 3 people saw your blog, 10 people saw your blog, 15, 20 people saw a blog post that you created. Yeah, You understand these issues? Do you comprehend these issues? Very, 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 very contradictory. CIA, FBI are in no shape to keep this file to themselves. They guarantee that they will, but, well, you see, the way the democracy works, let me explain to you something. They would if they could. 3 days ago, they almost killed me. I almost got killed 3 days ago, ladies and gentlemen. They almost walk away from this stuff. I literally, where the middle lane is, drove already across the middle lane. And it was really thanks to this truck driver that was completely, that he already moved completely on the side of the road, on the other side of the road, that maybe a third of the second saved the whole thing. Not half of it, but a third of the second maybe made the difference between life and death in this case. If it was even the third of the second, if it was never even a quarter of the second, that make the whole difference why you see me today talking to you. So yeah, they can do stuff, they do stuff, bad stuff. That was very, very bad stuff. That was very, very bad stuff. They can do stuff like this. They did created issues like this all the fucking time. With what you were able to see, Donald Trump started to talk about her name is also Gabriela, right? Her mom was hijacked from Tucson, and that's also the issue I already discussed about the gang that was involved. First, it was some son, a mechanic, something like this, from a single father that was involved in this stuff from a Tucson, and then it was a gang from Phoenix, on the outskirts of the Phoenix, direction of the Flagstaff, as you would go in that direction from the Flagstaff, from the Phoenix, that was involved in it. That not wasn't the only was involved in it, but they had these people involved in a torture, in MK Ultra torture. And I also explained to you, I said 2011, no, it was in 2009, based on the visits that a daughter of that mom that was hijacked, just you go and you Google Sheriff Nanos, I think, or something like that. Sheriff Nanos already placed her mom inside of the home for elderly people. No, that's not Gabrielle. That's a Savannah Guthrie. Savannah Guthrie. Her mom. So this stuff here, this is what I was referring to, just as a reference, so that you have a clean reference, you understand exactly what I'm referencing to. And I went way too far right now with this topic, out of the way that I should have, but all right. They can make you disappear with your American president, who was doing like this. He said that he's going to assist Savannah with her mother's search and stuff like this. With a headset, basically posing in a public, doing like this, where you are, I could have been dead, and you'll be watching your president when I would be actually dead. And this was the stuff that was labeled by FBI as stamp on arrest of Donald Trump. And Donald Trump is still parading today happy like a clown. You're happy to have your American president and taking chance that anything can happen to me at any time. Because, as I told you, there are two different things. One is a constitution and another one is United States of America. And United States of America is not a constitution. Pertaining to the 9/11 case. They can make you disappear at any fucking time. Yes, they can. And they keep me invisible for no less than 50 years. But if this file doesn't come out with such a detailed description of events, and that's why I realize how important it is for me to be so punctual, detailed. Houston mayor traveled to Monterrey. She met Houston mayor. I think it was a Houston mayor. United States of America in that case is not going to be seen as any democracy of any kind. That's why I know that you ain't got no fucking, you can fake, you can bluff, you can do whatever the fuck you want, but I already got you by the balls, really. This case I have described already so well. In this case, is, yes, it is big. It's a big case. There is 3,000 people, no less, reported as dead for 9/11. There might have been those that have avoided that fatality by simply, whichever way they did that stuff, knowing that 9/11 is going to take place. But still, that was a hell of a big incident, and it did affect the entire world, not only the United States of America, and it culminated in several wars in the Middle East. As you know, this is not even the Epstein file. My life started MK Ultra way before the Epstein. Epstein was just okay. He was involved in this stuff, yeah, and yeah, he was involved in it already when I was a child. Yes, but I mean, yeah, okay, all right. If it did go under Epstein, all right. If it did go under Epstein, whatever the case might have been, but I was here when they had several different options, with Epstein as one of them. That tells you something. Probably it should. They try to even present people like certain Illuminati's politicians as somebody who was just like they were just an actors, so that this case would hold together. Not really. Not really. 3 days ago, they almost got me killed. This is real. This shit is real. This is no fake. This is no bullshit. These people are masters in lies. They are masters in creating all kinds of twisted, fucked up excuses and so on. Corruption, I should say. The first thing that happened was, after they threw her in a psychiatric hospital, about a year after that, this is what I felt when I started to talk about the Karlstad, MK Ultra. The first thing they did is, before the year, if I go, and that's the end of the video, the first thing what the King Charles now did with American politicians is, he appeared in our house and wanted the feedback with Americans on how I view this is. Bill Clinton, Bush, they all wanted to know how the feedback from me on how do I view these things as far as the incident that just took place in 2009. That stuff was, with this girl in Monterey. And I was just negative about. I didn't want to have anything to do with it. It's also important to note that when they released Gabriela out of the psychiatric ward, psychiatric institution, which I was also there, they delivered me also inside in there. When they released her out, I felt the presence of the British Royals of American CIA. I felt the presence that when she was drilling me in respect to this MK Ultra and potential marriage and stuff like this, that they were in a great way present, whether they had their people watching this shit or they alone participated in it. I don't have the proof, I don't know about that stuff, but I got already, during the rejections of the Gabriela, very positive feedback from the British Royals, from the Queen and stuff like this. Yes, right, we don't do that kind of stuff and this and that. You may want stay away from that, and that good for you and stuff like this. Good for you. Good for you. I think that they try to implicate me in vision that it would allow. It's a very, very multipolar view when it comes to MK Ultra. Abusers oftentimes will throw you, elitists, king, royals, presidents will, to prove that you are a bad person to the government, that you are out there to do the damage to them. Then they can do bad stuff to you. To get the proof that you are a bad person, and will set their own victims, put them on a picture. Gabriela knew that I'm not going to marry her, that I was not in there, so I don't know what went on in her head then, what she was used for or had to do in order to save her life. And since I avoided portraying myself as somebody who is out there to get Gates and the royals, George Bush, Clinton, they proceeded to the next step. So this was the first step. The next step, it was intimidation. After they got clear, black and white, that I'm not part of it, I don't have nothing to do with the Gabriela and this and that, with whatever went on over there, they started to intimidate with psychiatric hospitalization that took place against the girl in 2003 and against, just recently, that took place against Gabriela. That was my asylum procedure in Norway, and as I started to talk about MK Ultra in Karlstad, when I pointed out this psychiatric hospital in Karlstad and the entire neighborhood where I was stationed at, how they had me during MK Ultra and stuff. When I started to talk about that stuff and I started to talk about this stuff, shit exploded. They didn't want me to talk about MK Ultra. And the first thing they did was, one of the first things they did is they used Gabriela. So you see, she is directly implicated in my case. She is directly, and I am 100% positive, not 90%, 99%, that she did meet British royals, that there was stuff that went on, just as I described in this video, behind my back also. that they did try to get a dirty wash on me, even through her, after they threw her into a psychiatric hospital in Monterrey. This is the way it is, ladies and gentlemen. This pertains to her. What would I tell you about Mr. Rakovich? Mr. Rakovich, this is a totally different case, very similar to that again, but a different case, and this is what I'm going to save for the next time. This cannibalism, after all, this is not about the cannibalism, this is about other issues, is well justified, well explained video. I did it as much as I possibly could to make you understand how the MK Ultra works. So you got the lessons. You got the lessons here in this video about what to watch in MK Ultra. That the stuff that people write, the people talk here, the so-called alternative media and stuff like this. Curiosity about all that stuff. Yeah, it would be very beneficial for me if I would get to see this Gabriela again, meet her and talk to her about again. But you know, what I gave you today is a view in depth that Central Intelligence Agency nor FBI can dispute, because this is what probably the files, those files that they have about this case, yeah, much of this stuff is not even written, but it's almost 100%. It must be 100% of what I stated to you in this video that can absolutely not be denied other than through the lie detector tests confirmed by the royals and the politicians. Watch this video again.
Gabriela Rico Jiménez, she was a Mexican model and disappeared back in 2009.
Yeah, but I'm not going to be playing you this because I don't want this story to mix with what I told you. What I told you in depth, and I'm not going to go, sorry, this video that I did right now is just too fucking good for me to mix with. I'm not saying that something. I think that lady is doing a wonderful job. She's really doing a wonderful job. Her name is Jaceline Glenn. She must please forgive me that I'm not going to play in this video her video because of what I stated. I don't want this to be mixed with, you know, hocus pocus. I want people to pay attention to this stuff. Yes, I think that she was subjected to MK Ultra, just like everything that I explained you. Watch this video to understand. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to play you her video so you get to see this. Man, I know to every millimeter the psychology when it applies to the victims of MK Ultra and abusers. Yeah, there's people involved in MK Ultra. Let's do this.
¡Asquerosidad! ¡Comieron humanos! ¡Asquerosidad! ¡Comieron humanos! Yo no estaba enterada de nada. Que había, o sea, los asesinatos sí, pero que habían comido humanos. ¡Humanos! ¡Comieron humanos!
Yeah, this is a terrible thing that they did to her, and you want to tell something they did to you? This is worse than a rape, MK Ultra. And this is why I was so scary to these people. I was scary to these people because I was so cold in respect to all this stuff they did to me. I was so cold. I look at them so procalculated. It became their obsession to point the camera in my face to record me. Because you couldn't even get any expression on my face. You couldn't even get any expression on my face. You could get maybe micro impressions that if you did not know me, you didn't know what to look for, which is a good thing, because the people who were involved in MK Ultra, they became so obsessed with wanting to know what Bobby thinks. I call myself Bobby. When I was in the US, Bobby, whatever, because my name is a bit complicated. Bushtian, it's not so easy to pronounce, and he became obsession. So this shit went on for half a century, 50 years, and so now the people, everybody wanted. There were so many people involved in this, and everybody wanted to read the emotions and stuff like this, and so the more that stuff, the more people become passionate about this stuff, you know. So I involved a lot of people. I made a lot of people, a lot of people passionate about this stuff. So I think that these people calling me out there, they just want, I sort of realized that they just want to be really badly on the picture, because the stuff they do, sometimes they remind of a really, really nasty stuff. And I'm thinking about who the fuck wants to go to the prison today? Probably not a lot of people, right? So thanks for watching. They must have been doing this for some reason, and probably not to go to the prison. So thanks for watching this video. Till next time. This would be the place to go. You read this shit and you become immune. And when I call Maria, a girl from Brazil, Amazona natives, they were also subject to MK Ultra. They know this MK Ultra. They even know about this MK Ultra, and they take this like a part of life, which is really not part of life. Knowing it means to survive it. So by watching this program, reading and understanding what this is about, you might actually survive out there, even if you are subjected to MK Ultra. Okay, let's go and see the map here. You're gonna see a little bit here, the map. That's Laredo right there. That's Houston right there. The mayor of San Antonio was 100%. 100% mayor from San Antonio was the one that was absolutely coming to Monterey. But there was also mayor of Houston, and I don't know how much about the Dallas, but San Antonio definitely, and I would say George Bush was visiting. George Bush didn't want to have anything to do with any of this stuff, which he did have to do with it. He absolutely did not want to have anything to do. George Bush was at Fort Worth. Dallas was George Bush. Austin and Houston were on board. They were visiting Monterey, and they just didn't want to see me seeing them in Monterey, in Mexico. Everybody was going to the Monterey. 2001, Monterey was very heavy. Eventually, they got them to Monterey. Do you know when they got the Gates and company to Monterey? Americans, the gringos, they got them in 98. They started to go in 98, in 99. Just when this girl, when I noticed this girl, this is when they started to go little by little to Monterey, Mexico. I have no idea which one of this she met. It would have been nice to meet her and get the statements from her about this stuff. However, of course, this is a subject to Mexican government, just as I explained in this video. Had you ever got better testimony than this? I made myself very, very, very clear. San Antonio, Houston, definitely. San Antonio and Houston, definitely. Dallas tried to stay neutral, but definitely did not. How much George Bush, how much time he actually spent also in Monterey? I don't actually have the figures for that stuff. No. He acted like he didn't want to have absolutely anything to do with it. He acted like a king of the Fort Worth. Like he didn't want to have nothing to do with Houston and San Antonio. I don't know, man. I don't know. You see, Austin is just about in the midst of the Houston and San Antonio. And if he wanted to make himself look Fort Worth, that ain't too far from Austin either. George Bush was there. For sure. And it did not restrict only to the mayors of San Antonio, Houston, and that kind of stuff. You Americans also had mayors coming from all the way from Philadelphia. I remember about the stuff that went on. You also had a Philadelphia and New York people coming to Monterey. That was, however, toward the end. Yeah. Gates and Company, this would go to 1999. Gates is not going to be, Gates is not allowed to say here that he was not in a Monterey in 99 and 2000, because he was. Let's say 99. Yeah. 98. There is a major mistake that I have made. No, I did not. I did explain to you properly. I hope I properly explained to you this stuff. I hope I definitely properly explained to you this stuff. Yes, I did. I did. Yes, a danger. The danger is that you don't explain properly. Yeah, I explained to you everything. I'm gonna write you down here so that you know. Exactly as I stated. Look. Now you even learn about Barack Obama. Me being friend with Barack Obama at one point in time. That was really one point in time that we were tremendous friends with Barack Obama. Barack Obama, my best friend, man. 1984, I suffered enormous depression. I am just going to express myself like this. I know, it's crazy, it sounds crazy, but this is also the only way for me to make you understand. But this girl was just 8 years old. And then I don't know what the fuck happened. But I think father made her do the stuff. It was actually a screaming and shit. They would have me at home, at their home. They would have me at their home. Males would go to work, and with the males there was nothing other than torture. And it was like babysitting me, basically. Fucking boring myself. Insane, basically. Drugged up in some corner, basically. Wasting day after day. Months, years. They must have got paid for that stuff. And with all these ladies I was with, I noticed Gabriela. This is the way it was. And anything that happened about me, they forwarded to the parents, if it was not mom that noticed this. This is the way it was. This is exactly the way it was. And then it was other people that took it from there. Her father didn't even want that, but he had a bad boy friends, and friends urged him to do that stuff. MKUltra is such a corruption shit that parents do it on a heartbeat. On a heartbeat they do it. It only takes one bad amigo and your child is gone. This is the way it is. Because it's difficult out there for the jobs. Her parents, father, whatever, this was construction or whatever they were doing. They were working. It appeared to me they were honestly earning money. I remember their home, everything. And well, you know when she was sexually distributed? In 2001, 2002, her mother hated me for it and told me she never will forgive me. Forgive me basically for noticing her daughter as beautiful. That's all it was. She was child. Drugged up stone like fuck that you don't even know for yourself. But yes, of course, this was her child, this was her baby. This was even a fight that broke out. However, the fight, this year I am going to change to 99. Started in 1999. This girl was just 9 years of age. This is the story of Gabriela, and it's up to her what she wants to confirm and what not. Or did her mother just told me to make me feel like a shit? I don't know. I have no idea. Maybe, maybe not. When it comes to 2001, 2002, definitely she knew more than she should, whichever way that was, with whoever that was. So I just wanted to clarify that stuff about which mayor was it, how was this stuff with the mayors and stuff. That's important to me. San Antonio, absolutely. Houston, absolutely. Dallas, I should say, Dallas pretended as a neutral, as how would I say, as not interested. The president is from there and this and that. Not true. Not true at all. It was all kinds of mayors. They started to travel there, including with what became Philadelphia and New York mayors, politicians. And might have been more than that. Might have been also some mayors from what you see right here. I have no effing idea, but it was a black and Hispanic statesman from New York and Philadelphia, and from Charlotte and Atlanta, all this that rushed to Monterey. Well, there was a lot of stuff that was happening in Monterey. Bill Gates was in Monterey in 1999. I was extremely against going to Monterey. It was Bill Gates who started to convince me that Monterey is good. Monterey is good. Now go and read the news about the Bill Gates. Bill Gates was a frequent visitor to our house since my childhood. Today, he's got problems with two things. One are mosquitoes, given that he travels to Florida, and the second problem is this case here, the Epstein. As I said, thanks for watching this video. Till next time, this man is no fucking innocent. 1998, Mr. Bill Gates, Monterey U, beginning. One of the first Americans who traveled to Monterey, Mexico, and Gringo, who liked it, just happened so, was Bill Gates. The American native girls I told you about were actually compensated, paid money cash to keep me rather I'm not going to say motivate me to get back in the MK Ultra trail. They were a big sensation. I love these South American native girls. It was something completely different. It was already involved along, but not all of the time. But they became involved all the time, sometimes in 1994, something like that. And I love it. I love this South American Indian Amazon girls. They were so beautiful. And the problem with them was that they tortured. Since 1993, became very involved. They were already involved before, but in 1993 they became very involved. Now there was a problem with this stuff. Once I immigrated to the US in 95, they started to involve me in MK Ultra in Amazon more and more, talking about Central Intelligence Agency, British Royals. They were interested in Amazon, as I loved Amazon, Indian girls. The problem was, however, with the Indian people. They performed a lot of nasty stuff, torture-wise. They were controlled by the Brazilian government, by the governments in the area, in whichever country this was taking place. And the only thing that was taking place, it was becoming nastier and nastier with 1998, not 2004, not 2003, my deciding about no longer wanting to have absolutely anything to do with them, because it was nothing other than violence. Milan Kucan, Robert Golob, Slovenian Board Power make that big difference with the CIA. They, talking about American Indians, became so excessively violent that I no longer wanted to have anything to do with them. And that was a girl, the older generation, that just looked like Maria or the other girl I saw today. The other girl that I saw today is much older than Maria, that decided that they will keep me on the picture for whatever costs, talking about Indians people. And they involved these girls to calm me down and so on. And for me, it was the biggest disappointment. What started with a thrill, with excitement, with a happiness that I'm going to get to see this South American Indian woman and so on, it turned into heavy torture. And so what happened was, I no longer wanted to be in the picture, and that's when they used these Indian girls to actually even convince me to be that they are so happy, thrilled to see me and this and that. And as soon as they calm me down, talking about the girls ask for the money in front of me, visibly. At the end, you're going to also pay for that stuff, and the guy paid for that stuff. This is the way it worked out. So MK Ultra, if you get hijacked, if you tell me you got hijacked from Amazonas by the native tribe over there, I absolutely believe you. I absolutely believe you. I told you. As far as Gabriela was meeting me. Gabriela told me that something was talking to me about that this is the stuff I should have put on the internet and so on, and if I will not, that the government will remove her and that kind of stuff. This is the way it was. So I guess that I was so efficient with my work that all the witnesses that are important witnesses to this case, they just they would not remove them. They need the witnesses. Gabriela is an important witness. Gabriela saw this was a black politician sent from Atlanta and from Charleston from Philadelphia, New York even, but the first one was San Antonio and Houston that traveled to Monterey. This was a big deal, man. This was politicians traveling from entire America to Monterey. Even from New York, Philadelphia, it was a big deal. New York, Philadelphia traveled to Monterey 2005, 2006, 2007. Things started to go bad for Monterey in 2007. Something happened with Barack Obama in 2006. Barack Obama had something, whatever Barack Obama had on his mind in 2006, I don't know. He did not like Monterey. It was Barack Obama that had certain issues with Monterey, wherever the fuck it was, wherever the hell went on. I didn't want to go to Monterey because it was torture. I'm not sure, or it might have been that George Bush stopped that with Obama. I have no idea how the hell that was. Actually, Barack Obama liked it together with Eric Holder. It was something like this. And even cited me a failure in Monterey. Oh yes, Barack Obama was in Monterey. These holders and stuff, they did travel to Monterey. This was a democratic thing to travel to Monterey overall. We also became some unlikely people that would travel to Monterey, and they did. Yeah, they had all kinds of people traveling. But Monterey, from the US, it involved enormously a lot. Mayors, their politicians, San Antonio, Houston, and then also the stuff that I told you about. Of course there was gringos also, but it was gringos, it was Clinton, it was Hillary, and so on, Mexico. They had some house, they would gather in that house, and I didn't want to have anything to do with them. And obviously they didn't want to have anything to do with me. I wanted to go back to the US, that kind of stuff. And 1, 2, 3, we were enemies. They listed me as an enemy. It was Americans that ordered torture, paid for the torture. This was a CIA operation. It was the same thing in Panama and etc., etc. Central America. Espionage, that kind of stuff. Hey, boy, they fucking take vacation and they pay a few dollars on the side to get you killed. That's all it is. That's how they do it. When it comes to the British Royals, they continue to paint me on this picture here, challenge me, bully me, harass me in respect to this, even intimidate me with it. This I don't have any kind of mercy. For the stuff they did to me, demanded from me to see myself in their cancers and stuff during MK Ultra, when in fact I wasn't even capable to move jaws, walk, suffering unbearable pain. I have no idea how you could watch me in that physical state. Americans were totally horrified when they saw that, with the saliva running out of my mouth and stuff, barely moving in pain and so on. How the hell you made it? How did you actually, how were you even capable to have me on the picture next to you once I was thrown into a psychiatric hospital? and or loaded with the psychiatric medications by the Slovenian police during MK Ultra and stuff. How the hell did you even make that? How are you the hell so successful that you managed to view me in front of you standing up, knowing me already for 40 years? More than 40 years. And you fail to act, you fail to do anything about. I mean, you're just a bad fucking people. You're just a bad fucking people. And I'm not another one who bites the dust. If I could, I would have purged you. You're the one who put me on that picture. You threw me on that picture. Next to everything you have done, you threw me on that picture. And you failed to respond. And so, when you go this far, and you present yourself to me as a god, even stuff like this, you know, what you see right there is significating me, especially because British royals all the time accented me a purity, cleanliness. Yeah, they were the purest people in the world, the most honest, the most decent, the most everything, the top of the line. Everything was at top of the line. The best taste, the best everything. Everything was the best, the purest, the best. You know, this is when you associate with the royals. Everything is top of the line, the best, everything. Everything is pure souls, everything pure. Oh, God forbid that they would go and they would zameriti. Zameriti means that they would make themselves resented to someone, that somebody would resent them or something like that. No fucking way. The people that would not step on anybody's feelings. Everybody knew about this during MK Ultra. They're the purest, the best, the cleanest people in the world that the world have ever seen. That's how they presented themselves as. When you look at this picture here, you can see that the wall behind them, where they were standing, there are holes inside of the wall. There must have been so many bullets that were fired at them that those bullets basically shredded the wall behind them. Well, when you do, for instance, the stuff like you did to me, and that was a Russian government that did that. You can call them Bolsheviks, you can call them Bolshevits, whatever you want to call them, bullshitters, whatever you want to call them, but it was a government. It was a Russian government who decided that they would purge you. It was not a single individual or private or whatever. It was the government. The new government decided they're going to purge your fucking asses. But I consider that I cried to this world as a slave, literally, to these animals, that they were involved in this stuff. And the only thing they wanted is through a really, really bestial procedure for me to disappear, without even expressing any kind of regret, compassion for me when I was thrown into the psychiatric hospital. But behind my back, do all they possibly could with the Slovenes to get me killed through exhaustion, through the torture. You know what a sleep deprivation is? Terror, trauma, torture. For days without a sleep, on a psychiatric medications. This is bad. That stuff is bad when you do stuff like this, knowing me, knowing you for so long, for no less than 40 years, in 2012 when you threw me. Even behind the walls of psychiatric institution. For my adhering to you, loving you, siding with you my lifetime, fighting for you. I have to tell you that my soul is also pure. No, I am not pure. I don't see myself as a pure. And that's maybe good, because I'm more realistic, and people that are more realistic are still probably more pure, clean, than the people that are not realistic. This picture that you see right there, on which Charles painted me with his detective, Scotland Yard or whatever detective, they have big picture like this in one of the rooms of the palaces that they continue to bring me in front of the picture and so on, and accuse me basically of killing them. That's how he was doing the stuff. Your King Charles, you know, these people just like myself, if I could, I said if I could, I would have purged you. If I could, I would have done exactly the way you see right there. Russian soldiers have done it. I would give you a decree to put you in front of the wall and shred you to the pieces together with the wall behind you. What they did is they purified their souls. They purified their souls. They didn't left it to international corruption. They wanted the justice to be done right there, right then, and the message be sent across the world to the royalties on how it's done when you just go far too far. These Romanos were vampires, with the children walking around in the snow, almost barefooted, walking inside of mains. Slaves, little slaves, without any conscience, with families that have not sufficient food, with wars that raged and raged and raged. Parents, fathers, brothers never coming, returning home. Poverty. And through the royal luxury life, collections, tax collections, vampires they were. They had no compassion for the people. In this case, Russian people, they have absolutely no compassion for what should have been people of their own. And what the fuck makes you think, because you're a royal, that a human, that a man, a human, cannot do the same thing to you as you do to them and to the children? What the fuck it makes you think, vampires, that you can do the stuff that a human cannot do the same thing to you as you can do to them? What it makes you think that you are so special, that is so special about you, scum? What it makes you think that the human cannot reach out and cleanse his suffering, wash his hands with your blood? What it makes you think that you can go and you can hospitalize, murder people through psychiatry, through the worst, wherever tool that you choose, assassinate them from behind, and they cannot do to you? What it makes you think that the laborer, the worker, is a nobody that is out there basically to just serve you as a nobody, as nothing basically. Is just somebody to breathe the air out there, and that's all there is to it. And you can do to them whatever you can. Like you did to me when I was a baby, practically, child. And you never opened your eyes, you never saw me. For other than for the lies, for exploitations. What it makes you think that a regular human, even if I cannot get even with you, scum, or what it makes you think that I cannot go loudly express myself what the fuck I would do with you if I could? For you to understand that I am even with you, that I am just as much as you are, no less than you are, and that I will do absolutely everything possible to get you destroyed. What it makes you think about that? Your mental control, disgusting mental control, parasitic mental control that you were doing on me, that you were sucking my soul out of my body for 50 years, for half a century, and ridicule me. Left me with a broken health and then ridicule me through the mainstream media, through the articles, in front of which you pose on the computer before those even appeared in the public. What it makes you think? You basically ridicule my health through your cancer issues that you published, that you talked about. You ridiculed my father. You ridiculed us, the situation that you created. What it makes you think that a normal, regular human, somebody whom you have destined to be nobody for life, cannot wish and express to the world that if he had the power, he would have done the same to you as it was done to you to your relatives over there in Russia, what it makes you think that you are so special about. You're not so special. You are nothing special. In fact, you are fucking degenerates. If you look at your lineage, you're gonna see you are a fucking degenerates. You are inbreeds. You are degenerated inbreeds. You fucked with one another for centuries, and you created a race of imbeciles. And that is the stuff that pertains to that cheapness, to that cheap shit that you involve, that sickness, that stingy, money-saving personality, sick, mental illness that you are all infested with. And that's exactly why you did this stuff. You're mentally ill degenerates, if you ask me. Except that you have a lot of money. And when you have a lot of money on the West, then you're never mentally ill. That's all there is to it. Unless you're Britney Spears and you get paid to look mentally ill. British royals represent a mental illness, mental sickness. Nothing good. The worst of the worst only. In my case, this is so. They presented a genocide, extermination procedure. If anyone, they were allies of Milan Kucan. They were allies of the Serbs. They were allies of Putin. They were allies of everybody who was out there to get me. And yes, maybe only pertaining to this case, but still they were. And it's not my job to protect British. Say, if British would do whatever British wants to do. But not calling out British would be a mistake in my case. It would have been a mistake in my case because a British can and are not allowed to justify ever again in my face as, oh, these are the royals, or these are just the royals, or yeah, the royals. It's like everybody knows it, everybody, sort of everybody knows this. Just basically get over with. Not everybody knows it in that sense of my case, but they implicate in bad stuff. It happened already before. This is not acceptable. This shit is not acceptable. This kind of attitude is infestation of the world with a mental illness. You British, you yourself are as spreaders of the mental illness, because you do have figures in Britain that you tend to protect, not summon at a court, not interrogate by the police, summon them at a court, interrogate them thoroughly, and then act based on laws that act basically outside of the law. They are outlaws that are legally outlaws. And with your presence around the world, with demonstrating the lack of action taken in respect to criminals like this, it classifies you as spreaders of illness, infestators of the mental illness, of the suffering crap. Garbage, basically. Tolerance for crime, organized crime, killings, and that kind of stuff. It does not set you apart from other human beings in a positive light, as far as I'm concerned, and or in the same category as other people. It's up to you. It's called constitutional monarchy. The monarchy can only be, one thing is a constitution, the other one is a monarchy. If you have a constitution, you have constitution, you have laws. And the other thing is monarchy. You can guarantee for whatever is written on the paper that it is whatever is written on the paper, but you cannot guarantee for the monarchists that they obey, that they act based on that constitution that is written on the paper as laws, as is how it shall be, etc., etc. And those are two different things. Constitution and the monarchy in case of greater than Great Britain. They don't go along with one another. They don't go along with one another. You benefited so much from me that you yourself should have already a long time given me a British citizenship. I don't want one, but you yourself should be ashamed not even referring to me as a British because of so much you were involved and so much you got through this case. It's a disgrace. The whole fucking thing is disgrace. Waiting for the British royals to resolve something they would like to culminate in my death, obviously. That's a crap. What is it exactly, I'm asking the British here, that British royals in my case did not try to get me killed? What exactly, yes, is still available out there that it would look indirectly? I'm not talking about shooting me with a gun. I'm talking about psychiatry, even psychiatry-wise, that these people have not tried to finish my life off. Name one fucking thing. What else could have done it? And this is acceptable for you. So I have the opportunity to break down the whole thing about Gabriela. The whole incident. How I will tell you exactly how this stuff happened because it's everything recorded by the CIA. They have the whole... I already posted on the internet and I deleted thrown away the video, and I did so because this is just where is the... no, must be here. Okay. This stuff here is too priceless for me to miss on. Okay, the way this stuff happened was like this, that she did have me. Gabriela Rico Jiménez did have me at her place. I don't understand that part. This is a hotel, and she continued to deliver me to this hotel over the years. She made some kind of arrangements also with front desk people, with the hotel people. I remember this. I also remember that stuff, that she made her arrangements. I remember that hotel director advised her that if she will do that she will be hospitalized, literally. The hotel people told her that she will be hospitalized. And she was explaining to me about her intentions on do exactly what you have seen right there. And finally she have done it. I was there. I saw everything. It is recorded by the CIA, by the government. They recorded everything with my presence on it. I don't like to leave anything to imagination, but just facts, the way this stuff was. So there you have the whole tutto completo pertaining to this incident. I gave you A, B, and C. And try now to challenge me. Ask her whether this is the way it was or it was not. If anybody has any kind of doubt about my credentials, precisely I described everything the way it was. And the night that she was hospitalized, it appeared to me they brought her, maybe a mayor of Monterrey, I have no idea who this politician was, governor of this province, and did spoke to her about this thing, and they did spoke about this. I don't know how long this shit went on, maybe even for 2 days. They discussed this issue, and it was like this: if she doesn't come home the next day, she never will. This is precisely the way it was. This is how this psychiatric hospitalization of her was. So now you have A, B, and C. Exactly. All you have left is basically sign it as yes. Another one. everything. If I wouldn't be there, I wouldn't be capable to explain to you all about all this stuff, how it actually happened. That she made it a scene over there at that hotel. Was she with these people? Yes, she was. And I believe about the stuff that I told you about the cannibalism, MK Ultra, brainwashing, that kind of stuff. I think they did to her this kind of stuff. For the reasons that I totally explained to you everything in this video. This I will play to you, this thing here. This I will play to you.
¡Comieron humanos! ¡Asquerosidad! ¡Comieron humanos! Yo no estaba enterada de nada. Que había, o sea, los asesinatos sí, pero que habían comido humanos. ¡Humanos! ¡Comieron humanos! ¡Asquerosidad! ¡Comieron humanos! Yo no estaba enterada de nada. Que había, o sea,
I think that her mom is more like a gringa. Her mom is more like a gringa. Which is kind of weird because that probably was her grandfather. I wrote down here about the grandfather, no, rather not the father. Probably was a grandfather. The grandfather of the Gabriela is mom. He actually wanted to give it to me, the mom. I wanted the mom for myself. And then it was the father of the Gabriela who married her. Might have been even the age issue. I had no fucking idea. I think that they talked to the old man about the age or something like that. It might have been. But you don't know a fucking thing when you're drugged up. When you're subjected to MK Ultra, when you see a beautiful woman, you want her, even if you are a teenager. You have to have something in your fucking life. I mean, everybody's getting everything. Watches, cars, shit. Anything they want. It would be nice if you would at least get a beautiful woman. At least something. I mean, when you are young, this is the way it feels. When you're subjected to MK Ultra. You totally deprive of absolutely everything. So I gave you like what nobody could possibly give you. The stuff, there's another thing about this stuff here. The stuff that I told you about. Americans know everything about the stuff that I stated. That means that CIA had everything documented. Absolutely everything documented. Gabriela later on told me that she regrets the stuff that she did. I had even no fucking idea what she was up to. She was completely nervous before she did this. She was like out of the mind. She was unrecognizable. She was really not herself. I would talk to her, but I couldn't really talk to her because there was no way to talk to her. It kind of reminded of you know, this guy Jerry Springer. No, it kind of reminded of the comedian on on Seinfeld, like this guy who had a hair like that, and he's all like confusing and stuff. I don't recall his name right now. I don't know, Herschel, whatever is his name. Stanley, whatever. Like a skinny guy, tall guy. It reminded her of being completely confused, like erratic, and she was making the agreement with the hotel staff. They told her no. There was maybe one guy who sympathized, two guys, maybe workers that sympathized with her. Director didn't want to know anything about that. She was using me to get attention from the hotel people. They warned her about this stuff. This is absolutely not okay. They were talking to me about what's going to happen and so on. If she will do stuff like this at their place, that this was not okay. She kept coming at that place, at that hotel. And there you have it. So that you're not going to say that I don't remember, recall, or anything like that. Did she know about these people? Absolutely she did. She absolutely did. She absolutely did. And just as I explained to you, that's precisely the way this stuff was. Okay, and here is also the girl that was also involved in MK Ultra, but I'm still not going to play you her video. Her name is Jocelyn Glenn. This was also a cutie that was involved in MK Ultra. Visited our house here also in Novo Mesto and so on. Yep. This one that you see right there, she was involved in it too. And she was precise in this case. What would not be the right thing for me not to mention this. I mean, she invested certain efforts in it. She wanted to be on the picture, so I'm gonna say yes, this girl also was involved in this stuff, and she was also here in city of the Novo Mesto. Again, I'm not good with the pronunciation of the names. Jocelyn Glenn. And so what you see right there is also as big or as small, whichever way you like it. As it gets on this computer. Jocelyn Glenn, there you go. There you have it. Huh. Okay, there you go. Is that she? I mean, this is the first time that I saw her on a YouTube, really, I did. Yeah, I could say that this is a very, yeah, I mean, this is pretty girl. Yep. Yep. I agree to that. There you go, happy couple. This stuff here pertaining to this stuff pertaining to Gabriela, like this here, the stuff that you see here, this shit went on for some time. I got to meet everybody, get to know everybody from the hotel. They had a human resource department. I even got to know, I think it was from human resource department. I got to know there was some other lady, there was some female that was also, I have no idea who the hell she was. Whether she was a social worker or she was a human resource, therefore employment for, you know, for employees department. I have no idea who the hell she was. This also is the lady who was coming and meet me, and I met her, and she was connected, some government worker, I think that she was, and she was advising me. Gabriela was contemplating on this shit for at least 1 year. At least 1 year. This was not a just simple decision that she made. This shit was driving her crazy at least for 1 year. And they even told me that I should tell her not to do it. I didn't even know what the fuck they want to do. What is it the hell that what's going on with this stuff? At least 1 year this shit went on. I don't know what is it, what 2009, I'm thinking 2009. She contemplated on doing this at least 1 year, if not more than 1 year. She contemplated on doing this shit for 2 years. I have no idea. It was a sort of thing to do for her. What happened, I have no idea. It was a lot of people who knew about this preemptively, even asking me to tell her not to do this. This is the way this stuff was. She was completely out of her mind, walking back and forth like the guy from the Seinfeld. I think his name is Herschel, whatever it is. Michael Richard is his name. Yeah. She was just back and forth, all erratic, like, nobody could actually talk to her. It was even with the parents and stuff like this, and she contemplated on this stuff. She just was decided that she's gonna do this, and well, finally she did it. That's the way this stuff is. It was more people than just the hotel stuff. It was more people. I don't think that was a human resource department from the hotel. Also, I think they had a human department from human resource department. I'm thinking about how big this hotel is. Actually, I'm trying to picture this hotel. This hotel was not particularly so big, I think. They had another hotel that was bigger. This was not such a big hotel. The British Royals were in Monterey. Yeah, I hear through the hotel I picture you through. They were demonstrating the hotels. They were. Everybody was in Monterey. Everybody.